Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jared, and today we're going to be doing a full review of the Spyderco Paramilitary 3. Now, the reason why we're jumping right into a full review as opposed to just doing a first look is because this is a knife that I'm very familiar with. I just got this in today, by the way. This is the KnifeWorks exclusive Paramilitary 3. And I'm just going to say Para 3 for the rest of the video. Para 3, and it is in CTS 204P, which is, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it is one of my favorite stainless steels. But we're just going to do some quick size comparisons because we're going to jump right on in. So the most relevant is probably going to be the PM2. And then just because it's what we always do, we're going to be using the 940 because these are two very good benchmarks to get an idea for the size. Now, for the stats, the Para 3 has an overall length of 7.24 inches with a handle length of 4.29 inches. We have a blade length of 2.95 inches with an edge length of 2.62 inches. The blade stock thickness is 145 thousandths of an inch, and the weight is around 3.3 ounces. We are featuring an ambidextrous clip with 4 points, so you could do right carry, left carry, tip up, tip down, both sides. So very, very inclusive for the carry options. And we have a compression lock knife, or a mechanism. Now, the cost for this particular knife was $150, but this is an exclusive version. It's going to be a little bit different, so let's just actually pretend that this is just S45VN, just straight from just the plain Jane G10 Para 3. That's going to run you around $165. The fit and finish on this particular model features a satin blade and G10 scales with full steel liners. Let's talk about the blade geometry and the steel for a minute, guys. So we've got a full flat grind here, and we are featuring CTS 204P, which is by Carpenter. This is a stainless steel, and it is one of the best stainless steels that you can get right now. In fact, it is the same steel, metallurgically speaking, as M390, which is by Bowler, and CPM 20CV, which is by Crucible. So you hear a lot about M390. Everybody kind of puts M390 on a pedestal, and metallurgically speaking, it's identical to 20CV. And if you had two knives that were, let's just say these were the same knives and one was in 20CV and one was in M390, for whatever reason, people tend to pick the M390. But the only difference between these, like I said earlier, it's just the name, guys. This is Bowler, this is Carpenter, and this is by Crucible. And these two are American made. This is not, and the steel, and I believe this has been out the longest out of the three of them. So just cool little tidbit of information there, something to think about. Now let's talk about the blade shape real quick. So like I said, we have a full flat grind, and this is just very much a Spyderco shape. It looks like the Delica. It looks like pretty much every Spyderco. they just very much tend to favor these types of blade shapes. In fact, it's basically just a smaller PM2. It really, really is in almost every way. So now, okay, one more thing real quick. We need to talk about the action, then we can go into some of the subjective things. So the action on this it's some of the best. It's a compression lock knife. And this particular one does not drop very well, and that is because it's brand new. I literally got this today. It needs some time to break in and for everything to kind of, get all warmed up, if that makes sense. We are also running on phosphor bronze bearings too, so that is also a good thing. I prefer phosphor bronze bearings personally, but that is, it's not going to be a deal breaker if you're on bearings. That would be kind of cool to see this on bearings, but it doesn't really need it though, because once this gets broken in like about a week, it's literally going to drop just like this guy. So let's talk about the ergonomics. Now we're getting into more of the subjective stuff. So the ergonomics on this, I have medium to large size hands. The ergonomics on this are really, really good. I love that you have the jimping on both the top and the bottom by the finger choil down here. So you can, you can do like, there we go. You do like a full grip like that, and then you could choke up on it and get more of a full purchase back here. And it's pretty comfortable. It's not bad. The only issue with this is the deep carry clip. And just a little thing about deep carry clips and Spydercos, I think that they need to do this standard right off the rip. I mean, this is the first and most, like, whenever anybody gets any Spyderco for the most part, they're like, okay, boom, deep carry clip, Lynch clip, or, you know, whatever type of, you know, there's plenty of other types of clips out there, but the clip is like the number one thing that's replaced. I don't always do that because I'd rather, instead of buying 3 or 4 pocket clips, I'd rather buy a whole nother knife. But with the Para 3, in my opinion, it's almost uncarryable without a deep carry clip. So that is going to be the very first thing that I end up replacing. The aesthetics, the way it looks. I'm very partial towards Spydercos. And this was actually my very, very, very first knife, the G10 Para 3. And I'm always going to be, very, very partial to this blade shape, this silhouette and the design. The way that it carries, well, let's see. Earlier, like I said, you can do 4 positions of carries. We're very inclusive on this model. The only problem, like I said, is that it does need a deep carry clip. It really does, in my opinion, and just not only for the carry factor, but just because of the hot spot factor. The value, so if this was the regular version in S45 VN blade steel that you can get right now with the G10 scales, the price is going to be $165. I would say relative to the market, it's a good price. It's a good price. It's not like it's just going to represent, I think, a portion of the market that is, it's just good. It's fair. It's not amazing value, but at the same time, it's not like tremendously, like, you're not getting worked over, in my opinion. Like if you were to go to maybe say Benchmade with the same price point, I would go as far to say that you would struggle to find a knife that has the same quality features that this knife has. And in quality features, I know is also kind of a subjective term, but for me personally, it's going to be the fit, finish, and the stability and the way that it feels at lockup, right? I think that's more unanimous than like, than the action and then, little small cosmetic things. Just because you're getting full steel liners, you're getting full slabs of G10, right? You're getting a good action with a reliable lock, right? No springs, no breakable parts, and you're getting this is a very universal blade shape. It's very good for that. So let's talk about comparable options in this price range now that we're speaking about the price. So for around $160, if you're gonna stay with the Spyderco range, or in the brand, excuse me, the 2 options that come to mind that are in this class are gonna be the Native 5 and the Sage 5, and both of those in the lightweight variant. They're both the same blade length, around 3 inches. And so the Native 5 is actually going to be also from Colorado, but the Sage 5 is going to be from Taiwan. And actually right now you can get a Sage 5 lightweight in blade, the Blade HQ exclusive, which is going to be the M4 blade steel and the Jade scales. And typically I don't like lightweight models of Spydercos, but the Sage lightweight actually has full steel liners. So you're getting that with what I've heard is a superior action. I've heard the action on those Sage 5s are really good. If you have a Sage 5, chime in and let us know what you prefer, this or the Sage 5, because I'm assuming if you do have a Sage 5, you probably have or have had a Para 3. But yeah, if you're thinking about getting this, go for it. If you're stuck between this and a PM2, and you're like, man, which one do I get? Because this was a big issue that I had when I first wanted to get my first big boy knife. I settled on Spyderco, I settled on the Paramilitary, and I was literally stuck for the longest time between a PM2 and a Para 3. I ended up going with the Para 3 because this looks huge. It really does online. When you get it, it really isn't. But I went with the Para 3, and it wasn't a mistake, but retrospectively, I should have gone with the PM2, and I only say that because the PM2, it's like the original Ford Mustang, guys. It's like where it all started for this brand, in my opinion. And another thing, real quick, about these 2 knives, the Para 3 and the PM2, The customization options for these two knives they're endless, with the amount of scales, the amount of back spacers, the amount of just the hardware options, and even with all the different blade steels. I mean, there is so much that you can do with these two knives that, like, you know, just buying any type of knife like that just looks plain and normal like this, the fit and finish almost doesn't matter, because, you know, at the end it's going to look, you know, nothing similar to the way that it did when it came. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the Spyderco Paramilitary 3. Thanks for checking out the channel, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.